everybody! Have you ever just needed a good base location and you just never know where to look? Well, that's why I'm here today, cause I'm gonna show you some fairly decent locations to place your base, whether it's beginner base, mid-game base, or even late-game base. We're gonna go find those locations, so let's get right into it. Alright, so first off, we're gonna start off with some early game base locations. Now, first couple days, you're probably just gonna make a small little shack somewhere in the meadows biome to kind of hold yourself together for the first night and make some sort of a small little base camp, just kind of sleep and a good spawn point. Now, usually I say try and put a base near the spawn location, but honestly, not really necessary, because once you get portals, you can basically go wherever you need. But a good beginner base location is somewhere between the meadows biome, the black forest biome, and the coast. Now, right here, I kind of picked a good location. I kind of show you on the map too. We're not too far away. We are actually near a mountains, so that's also a decent thing to do, is kind of position it near a mountain. It's not a big one, so honestly, this mountain may have like 1 or 2 silver nodes, but not much. But right here, you can see where the black forest biome meets with the meadows biome, and we have the coast here. So this is a good, decent spot. The reason I say this is that this is a good spot is because you're in a nice meadows biome. So we have raspberries, we have boars, all that kind of stuff that'll sprout all the way through here, and mushrooms. But it's a nice peaceful area. You're starting off, you probably don't have the weapons, the armor, the know-how of fighting grey dwarves and trolls and all that. So it's nice to set up your base in a meadows. But you also need access to a lot of wood and core wood, as well as copper and tin, or even troll leather, stuff like that, later on once you are more prepared. So I always say push yourself up in between a black forest and a meadows, so you have the best of both worlds, and post up next to a coast. That way you can start making a dock to set sail on further future adventures. If you ever find a swamp or anything, you'll need a way to get that iron back to your base, and most of the time traversing the ocean is a lot easier than traversing across land using like a cart or anything like that. A boat's probably going to be one of your safer options, but we're not going to talk about serpents yet. So, like I said, good location, black forest, meadows, and an ocean, a little coastal area. It is a very good location to be. So this is where I advise anyone who's starting off to kind of put their base. Now, I will say you will get grey dwarves and the occasional troll coming towards your base. So if you really need to, put your base a little bit further away from the black forest, maybe like over there near those trees. That way you're not spawning grey dwarves and trolls, but you're still close enough to where you can still get resources and whatnot. So, again, good first beginner location. So, on to mid-game. And now for the mid-game base location. Usually, for mid-game base, there's a few different spots that you can pick. Usually what I like to try and do is I like to try and position my mid-game base in between a black forest, a plains, and the ocean, coast. Again, that way we can have, I like to keep the coast nearby, that way we can keep having ships and docks to go get like iron and other resources and materials from other places and bring them here. Obviously by now you will have portals and all that, but you still can't ship metals through portals unless you have that changed on your game modifiers. Most people probably going to be using boats and whatnot, so keeping close to the coast is probably a good idea. Now, I say the plains and the black forest for one main reason. The plains, you get barley and flax. Very good for string and for other food items like bread, fish wraps, there's also meatlux pies, that kind of stuff. But the only thing with flax and barley, you cannot plant flax and barley. I'll show you guys here. do these correctly. So I'm going to put a little plot here. You cannot plant barley and flax here. You can place it down. After a couple minutes, it will probably... going to. After probably a couple seconds, just like that. Barley can't grow in this environment. Flax can't grow in this environment. So, they cannot grow in any other environment except for the plains. So especially if you are wanting to make a base, but you want a good supply of flax and barley, I would suggest building a base that sits right in between both biomes. That way, while you are in the Black Forest part of your base, you can then go ahead and plant your carrots, your onion seeds, your onions, I said onion seeds, your turnips. You can plant all three of those in your Black Forest without having any issues. And I mean, actually, I say that you can plant those in any location as well. I always forget that. You can actually plant onions and carrots and whatnot here. I'm thinking of the Mistlands and Plains base. That is the late game base. For here, no, you can actually plant everything in the plains. The reason I personally like to put it partial in the Black Forest, plains is scary. There's a lot of bad stuff in the plains. It's not fun. You got Death Squeedos, you got Bolings, Berserkers, right? Brutes. Are they Brutes? I always forget their name. And you have a good supply of wood. Like World Say. Yeah, you got a good amount of wood here as well, and copper if needed. So good to have those nearby as well. Now, I also picked a location. Looking at the map, is also nearby a fairly sizable mountain. Nothing too crazy, nothing too big, but that would give us a good source of wolf meat, a good source of silver, stuff like that coming from this mountain. There are swamps nearby as well. That's not a necessity because again, you're by the coast, so you can use your boat to head off to your swamps and whatnot to get your iron. But it is good to have some sort of a swamp nearby to have that accessible, especially for entrails for getting yourself some sausages. So yeah, that's the main reason why I like to build a base in between the Black Forest, the plains, and the coast. You have boat access. You can plant all of your barley and your flax, and as well as planting all of your other crops while still having a good sizable amount of wood and copper as well for your base. So let's get on to the late game base. And now for the late game base location. The place that I like to choose is in between 3 different biomes. Same kind of as before, but we're not doing any coastal, not doing any ocean. We are in between a plains, the Mistlands, and the Black Forest. And there's quite a few reasons for this. Now, in the Black Forest, or I'm sorry, the Mistlands, you're gonna find Jotun Puffs, as well as the Mage Caps. You're gonna find both of those, and you can plant those. Now, the only thing is, you cannot plant Mage Caps or Jotun Puffs in Plains or Black Forest or any other biome except for the Mistlands. Kind of like how flax and barley, you can only plant those in the Plains. So, a good tip to have is build part of your base in the Mistlands. Now, like I said before, you still are probably going to be using a lot of barley and a lot of flax, but you can't plant flax and barley in the Mistlands. So you're going to need part of your base in the plains. That way you can plant your flax and barley. Having the Black Forest, again, for me, that's just a good source of more wood and copper. The Mistlands will give you plenty of iron and black metal, as well as the plains will give you a lot of black metal as well. Another good reason for having these 3 biomes all in this one base location. Each biome, this is another little tip, each biome has kind of their own faction, if you think about it that way. The plains has the Folings, the Squeedos, the Loxes, the Tar guys, all of that. They all live in the plains. Actually, I think the Growths, the Tar Growths, I don't think they're part of the same faction as the plains. I think they're undead. Anyways, the plains has their own faction. Black Forest has their own faction as well. They have their Grey Dwarfs and Trolls. But the only thing too is they also have skeletons. Skeletons don't get along with Grey Dwarfs or anything else except for the swamp creatures. Mistlands, they have their own factions with the Seekers, the Secret Warriors, and the Gyals, I think that's what they're called. Might be pronouncing that wrong or saying the wrong name. Each faction does not like the other factions. So Seekers, if Seekers get too close to Folings, they will fight each other. If the Grey Dwarfs get too close to Folings, they will fight each other. Grey Dwarfs get too close to Seekers, they will fight each other. Versa, they will all fight each other if they're too close. If you build a base in all three biomes, in this little corner here, and you can actually see it, you've got your Black Forest, Mistlands, and your Plains. Whenever you get raided by Folings, Seekers, whatever the case may be, you will have Seekers, Folings, or Grey Dwarfs to help you in that fight. Now, yes, they are probably going to fight you as well, but it will definitely help with the raid and keep those enemy numbers down. So let's say you're getting attacked and raided by the Folings, you run over into the Mistlands, basically get the attention of a couple Seekers, maybe a Secret Warrior, guide it back into the battle, and that Seeker or Secret Warrior will take care of most, if not all, of those Folings, and you won't even have to lay a finger on them. Now, obviously, you will now have a Seeker or Secret Warrior you will have to deal with, but that's a lot better dealing with one enemy than 20. So that's another reason why I say keeping a base between the Black Forest, Mistlands, and Plains is a really good idea. You kind of have that quote-unquote extra protection against raids and whatnot. So this I think is a really good one. Another thing to keep an eye out for, and this is kind of for all base locations as well, depending on whatever biome that you're kind of focusing on in that moment, make sure that wherever you place your base, that biome is large enough for you to keep exploring it. So right here, see, this is the location that we have picked. Our Plains, our Mistlands, and our Black Forest. But not only that, the Plains is fairly decent. It's fairly okay. But the Mistlands is absolutely massive. This is good for us. You wouldn't want to start a base and only have this little bit of Mistlands and you explore it within a couple days. If you want something like this, you can get a ton of resources, possibly find the next boss in this location. Having this large Blackwoods, again, during late game, you don't really need a Blackwood forest. Honestly, you could probably get away with just doing the Plains and the Mistlands. I only do the Black Forest, again, just because copper and extra wood. So keeping that in mind, having the large Mistlands, that definitely helps. Now there is a large mountain over here as well. That's kind of like just an added bonus. So now we can come over here, maybe grab some silver if we need it, or grab some wolf meat, that kind of stuff from this location. So now we know. The base locations for starter is a Meadows, Black Forest, and Coastal. For mid-game, I remember where I placed that marker, right there. For mid-game, we have our Coast, Plains, and Black Forest, and a mountain. Kind of keeping those four biomes kind of close-ish to each other. Especially for mid-game, definitely having that base in the plains somewhat so you can grow your barley and flax. Having a swamp nearby definitely helps. And that's for any point in the game. Just having a swamp nearby definitely helps for that extra iron. And then for the end game base location, having it in between the three biomes of the plains, the Mistlands, and the Black Forest. Having it near the coast obviously and definitely helps. So honestly, if you wanted to, you could put your base location here. That way you're a little bit closer to the coast. Actually looks like there's some black forest here. Tiniest bit, so you could make your base right here. That would be kind of interesting. But just finding locations like that where you have those 3 biomes kind of close together, and make sure you build that base on that line, on the borders. That way you can plant all your Jotun puffs and your mage caps, as well as your flax and your barley. So I hope that helps. I hope you guys enjoyed. If it did help, like the video. If it did help, go comment. Let me know that, hey, it helped. I made a cool new base. And also put down in the comments if you guys need more tips, tricks, and just need to know, like, oh, how do you do this? Or what kind of base should I build in this location? And stuff like that. Hell, at me on Twitter or anything and be like, and with a picture, be like, hey, I have this cool base location. What should I build here? Anything like that. Leave that down in the comments or whatever. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye!